This is Dr. Carroll, and this video is about interfaces. So interfaces are similar to abstract base classes, but an interface specifies which methods must be specified to fulfill an implementation of it, meaning it being the interface. So interfaces are like classes in that they can have static constants and one or more methods. So often we put methods in an interface, but they're unlike classes in that these methods cannot have a body like an abstract method, and that each of these classes, each of the classes that implements, now implements is a new keyword, the interface, also a new keyword, must override all of the methods. Okay, so when we say a class implements an interface, then it has to provide all of the methods that that interface provides. And the default for all interfaces is that that they're public and abstract. And just to be clear, just like an abstract base class, interfaces cannot be used to create an object. So they're designed to provide a role of an object. So let's see an example here, again of mammal, dog, and then a driver code, and then we're going to introduce Ipet. Okay, so mammal is the same as we've seen before, and let's switch to dog now. Now notice we have this keyword implements here, and we're saying it implements this interface, and the convention is you start an interface with a capital I to make it clear that it is an interface. I've added in name here and just gone ahead and made it protected in case we were going to inherit from dog, and added it into the constructor and added in a get name and set name. Okay, so now let's look at ipet.java. So here is the keyword interface. We give the name of the interface, and by the way, you can have interfaces inherit from one another, and we would use the extends keyword. They can extend from another interface to have a hierarchy of interfaces. And so this interface says these two methods define this interface. So a class that implements this interface is guaranteed to have a get name and set name. That's what makes a pet, in my opinion. I was trying to think what differentiates a dog from a pet. Well, or any animal really, is you give them a name, you give them some love. And so that's the interface that that has to be implemented for any class that implements the Ipet interface. So for completeness, let's look at the example here. So here we're creating a new dog, and we pass in Fido, the pet name. And so here we are showing that we can display and call get name on the dog object. Now notice we cannot call it here on a mammal object. And why is that? Because mammal does not implement that interface. It is just dog that implements that interface. And so not all mammals are pets, but we're saying our dog class here is to represent, it provides that role of having, playing that role as a pet. So let's compile it. Woohoo! So it does compile, and then let's run it, and sure enough, notice here Fido, it is displaying the name. Alright, to finish up, let's talk about the difference between abstract classes and interfaces. So use an abstract class for essential common elements of a group of classes. Okay, so if you recognize there's this commonality here, but it's fundamental to that group of classes, then make it an abstract class. use an interface to capture a role of an object. And so a role might be that it is storable, or it's serializable, or that it provides some other functionality. And so that is a role that it provides. Additionally, Java does not support multiple inheritance, but it does allow a class to implement multiple interfaces. And so if you feel like you're trying to have multiple inheritances, maybe it'd be better to put some of that into an interface. And so we can, and we separate the multiple interfaces with commas, okay? One or more commas. So we can use an interface to enforce information hiding, and forcing that we're just showing the API, we're just showing the methods and the constants, but not all of the details of the class. That's what I have for this video. I hope you enjoy it.